Hi, Kim.
Hi, Dean.
Kim, so let's dispense with something right from the beginning, okay? Like, what the hell is a fractional CMO?
Very good question. So, a fractional CMO is a chief marketing officer that can come into your organization and can take a look. So the cool part is that you don't have to pay for a full-time CMO, but you pay for the expertise that you're really utilizing, which is you're bringing in super experience to look at your situation, look at your business goals, marry that up with a strategy and marketing and the team that's needed, and orchestrate that so that you can get a sustainable growth engine going that delivers the qualified leads, that builds your brand,
Right?
that does all the things you need to do and can do it fully for you as you're growing your organization.
All right. Well, then let's think about a hypothetical, okay? Today is day one of a brand new client engagement. You're new to the client's new to you. This is day one of the entire thing, right? Um, Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then talk about what the first 90 days look like when a fractional
Okay.
CMO comes on board and starts working.
All right. Well, we'll start with a little bit about myself. So I'm Kim
Mhm.
Albee. I'm a serial SaaS entrepreneur and fractional CMO. I started by building marketing automation software and then moved into marketing. I find that I love the people side of the business as much as the tech side, maybe more, and especially keeping an eye on not killing tomorrow's market by annoying the 95% of people today who aren't in market yet for what you sell. Now, I'm helping clients with a custom AI platform, and we built it to make understanding your ideal customer easy, along with a content strategy that is relevant and will engage them so our clients can build a consistent, sustainable revenue and demand platform for their business. Now, the first 90 days. So, the first 90 days, I love it. It's called Listen a Lot.
Right.
So, we start by just looking at the business, understanding what is it? Where is this business going? What are the business objectives? What are the goals? And once we really get clear about that, then we look at, well, what's current state? How's it performing against those goals? So once we know current state and what the goals are, we can now see the gap, the gaps between where they want to be and where they are right now. And many times in clients, they don't have the right measurements. They don't have, it's like random acts of marketing as opposed
Right.
to implementing marketing strategically to help them really grow their business that really connects with their ideal customers. So oftentimes we need to go and really define that ideal customer and zero in on it so that we can make sure our content's relevant. So once we do all of those first things, then we start looking at targeted initiatives, targeted campaigns, and strategically aligning those with the business. And then we look at the skills that are on the marketing team and we get to know where are the gaps in the skills. Let's fill those gaps. And then we look at implementation. We move right into implementation at the end of that. So we're starting to implement campaigns, measuring them, evolving them, and really growing the results. So that's kind of the first 90 days right there.
Busy.
It is. It is. It's a total fun time. And I love learning the new businesses. And because I have deep tech and deep marketing, it makes it really, really nice.
All right, that sounds great. Scott, hi.
Hey, Dean, how's it going?
Good, thank you. So, Scott, tell folks a little bit about you and when you start a new engagement, what sort of gets done or has to be tackled, or what problems do you normally see in the first 90 days?
Certainly. So I'm from Philadelphia, PA. Been in marketing for about 20 years. Started off learning AdWords for a family jewelry business,
Hmm.
and then got really interested in programmatic and data-driven digital marketing in 2000 something. I don't know, it's been a while. I really enjoy metrics and analytics and measurement. And I think that when I first meet with a new client, a lot of this upfront work is understanding what they've been doing
Right.
and how it's been working, and looking at every channel that they're in, every dollar that they're spending, and really figuring out what the revenue looks like and what profitability looks like, and understanding from a high level. I think this is an advantage for a fractional CMO coming into a new situation because you have fresh eyes and fresh perspective. You also bring the experience from other verticals. So I've been involved in political advertising, been involved in healthcare, a cannabis sector, tech sector. And so I have a lot of different clients that I've worked with on the marketing side. So I can come into a new situation and really evaluate what they've been doing well and where the gaps are and how I can improve on things. I think the other big point is evaluating the personnel. Who is working on the marketing right now? How well are they doing? What other people they might need or not need going forward. So it's evaluating the talent pool as well as all the metrics and the tactics they've been using.
So then let's pivot a tiny bit then. You're not the fractional CM anymore in the engagement anymore. You're the CEO, right? You had to get someone to agree, a board, investors, leadership team, you're the other half of your brain, something to allocate the spend and bring in a fractional CMO for, let's say, a year, okay? What should you be seeing now that your fractional CMO has started? And what should you be doing or what should you stop doing to make sure that you get maximum value out of that person for the time that they're there?
The first thing you should stop doing is pretending that you have everything figured out, which some CEOs do, and be open-minded to changes. That's a big thing that, I look at is you have to think outside the box. You have to think about new perspectives. You have to understand that whatever you're doing can be improved upon. Mm-hmm. So even if you're doing really well and your company's revenue is great and profits, there's always another level. There's always more competition. So I think you have to really look at the different tactics that the CMO suggests and figure out how that can change and improve what you've already been doing. I think you also have to understand what your team is looking like and what they've been doing well and what they haven't been doing well. You can't be afraid to replace people or add people as needed. So many times the fractional CMO will come in and say, well, you need a new social media administrator, or you need someone better for your graphics, and your UI design on your website. So I think you have to really look at each individual player on the team and see where they're best suited and what role they're in at the moment.
Then, Kim, then what do you, let me invert the question for you. So sometimes companies bring in a fractional CMO and then they waste that money. How did they waste the money?
Because it's kind of interesting. At the executive C-suite level, a lot of people think that they're all experts in marketing and they all want to weigh in and vote on, is that really a good move or not a good move? And then they second guess the expertise they brought in. The best thing that executive team and the CEO can do is say, yes, I hired you, go do your job.
Right.
And the CMO doing it well can educate and bring together the whole executive team around the goals and objectives and listen to where the gaps are from those perspectives on the team, and then orient their marketing and pull together. But you got to have the trust of that group. So you've got as much of a marketing job to do with that executive team and with that CEO. So the best thing a CEO can do is to say, look, I hired you for your expertise, now go deliver. And then trust that the CMO has the budget, understands how to manage, and the CMO is going to handle staffing issues. The CMO is going to handle what the strategy is and report those top metrics to the executive team in a way that matter to the overall objectives of the company. So they build a marketing function that actually is part and parcel of the growth engine of that business. So sales and marketing are aligned, customer service and marketing are aligned. And so you really get what you paid for. Because otherwise, if you second guess and everything else, you're just going to end up in the same mess that you're trying to hire somebody to fix.
Right. All right. Then let's say that you're still the CEO at this company, okay? But now you're looking at the various staffers, junior, mid-level, whatever, right, of your marketing team, however big or small that marketing team may be, right? And they've probably had supervision, but this fractional CMO is probably the first leadership level person that's been in at marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So you're looking at them today, you're thinking about them 12 months from now. How should that team be different or better 12 months from now than they are now?
Yeah, it's good. I think what needs to happen is when you first come in as a CMO, you got to get to know the team. You got to understand are people in the right seats on the team? Right. What have they been doing? What's their perspective? What could be better in their view? What does that whole world look like? Who can I, if I see that someone's in a wrong seat, put them in a good seat, put them in the seat that has them excel, and really have those expectations and reviews with people so they know where they're going. Provide the leadership that's going to provide the results, inspire the team to produce at their best. And if people need to be developed, let's develop them. If people need to be gone, then they need to be gone. It's a hard conversation. If new skill sets need to be brought in, that needs to happen too. And it's all in service of delivering on the strategic objectives of the business. So it's about having a team that's honed and operational on all levels, where they're loving what they do. That's what most people want in a job, is to love what they do. I mean, heck, we spend a lot of time doing our jobs. So you want to love that. And you want to have somebody that encourages you, that leads you, that helps you develop yourself. And that's what the role is of the CMO in coming in and running that team.
And Scott, what do you think? Like, how should that team be different or better at the end of, say, 12 months than they are on the first day that a fractional CMO shows up?
So first, making sure that they're doing the best job that they can do at their specific skill set. So matching the skill set with the tactic and the department that they're in. I think it's also, you want them to learn. I always like working with younger people who are eager to learn new things.
Right.
I'm always bringing new tactics in and new ideas. And when someone on the team says, this is great, like, let's try it and let's learn from it and let's dig into the metrics, I think that makes them better at their job and a better team. I also think attention to detail is really important. I've worked with a lot of companies where they're running advertising, they're doing marketing, and nobody's watching the numbers. You got to watch the numbers every day, every week. And I'm never fully satisfied. They can always get better. So having that motivation, motivating the team to want to continually get better with what they're doing, I think is really important. And over time, that should be playing out in the revenue and profits of the company. So that's one thing. And I also think that individual people might need to be replaced with someone better. You might have someone that's pretty good at a certain job, but you might be able to find more and better talent as your company grows. Right. So you can't be afraid to invest in someone new at the position. I use a sports analogy a lot. You might have a pretty good quarterback on your team, but in order to get to the Super Bowl, you need a great quarterback.
Then let's switch it to, let's drill down one more layer. Okay. So, Scott, imagine that your best friend comes to you and says, Scott, like, I know you've said you're something high up in marketing. Like, you've explained to me what you do. I still don't really understand it, but I do know that my kid just graduated college and just started their first full-time job in a marketing group that just hired its own fractional CMO. You got any advice for my kid?
Absolutely. And I have a kid who just graduated college, so it's a great question. And the advice I give her all the time is listen, listen, listen a lot. Learn from every person that you speak with, and including the bosses or your immediate supervisor. Really learn as much about how the business works as you can. Learn about the clients and what they need and what they want. What will make your clients happy and what will make them stay with your agency over and over again and spend more money. If you're an agency, if you're an in-house company, what will make your bosses happy? What will make your board happy? And also just continue your education. So college is great, but there's a lot of learning that happens after college. There's a lot of ways, especially now, there's online tutorials for everything. I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube, and you can sign up for Google marketing things and all sorts of other stuff. So don't just stop and figure, I'm great, I got a job, I'm good. Keep your education going, because that will lead you to another job, a better job later in your career.
Kim, like, what mistakes do junior marketers make? Or what advice would you give someone just starting out now in a very different marketing environment than when, any of us started out?
Yeah, I would say learn as much about the domain of the business as you can. So what gives marketers an edge to really make a difference? You have marketers who can understand some tech and implement it, look at the metrics and all that. But the ones who really understand the context of the business, the industry that the business is in, and everything else, end up building a really full feature set of problem solution that they can draw on. And then they build that domain expertise. And that domain expertise in today's market is invaluable, because content and resonating with your ideal customers is the name of the game. And if you don't know how to do that, and you don't understand the function of the business and what the business does and all the nuances, and that's why learn as much about the business, I totally resonate with that comment, because you've got to understand that. Then you want to never stop learning. There's always new things to learn. And so you want to dive in and learn the things and understand what you're drawn to and what you kind of avoid. And maybe dive into what you avoid a little bit, but you want to really get good at what you love, because you're going to be at work for a long time. So build a career that you adore.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Kim, that's advice for junior marketers. Let's switch a little bit. All right. There are a lot of people, who are moving into starting their own fractional CMO careers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you have any advice for someone who's just starting out? Like, this is their first week as a fractional CMO. Like, any advice on what they should do or not do, or something you've done or tried and said, like, yeah, that turned out not to be worthwhile?
Yeah. You want to be able to, as a fractional CMO, you've got to be two-headed. So you have your clients,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your own company, if you will. And you've got to learn to market yourself. You've got to learn to continuously do that. Consistent, just like you have to implement with a company, consistent content. You have to be consistently out there. You got to do the same thing now for you. So you can't drop one just because you got a client. And if you do, then you're going to end up that engagement will end and you'll end up with no pipeline.
Right.
Same thing that small startups run into. Okay. So you've got to be two-headed about it, and you want to make sure that you master both. And sometimes what I see is people come out of a marketing function and they say, okay, I'm going to be a fractional CMO, but they don't really feel comfortable marketing themselves.
Right.
And you've got to get over that. You've got to treat yourself as a product. How would you position yourself so that you're not a commodity? How do you've got to handle all those things and get yourself out there and continue it.
Yeah, good part of my business is doing that for fractional CMOs and then for their clients. Marketers are usually not great at marketing themselves. They're great at marketing their other people, but not themselves. Correct. All right, fair enough. Kim, I'm going to come back to you in a second and have you, you can pick and ask Scott any question you want. But I'm going to ask the same question first to Scott while you're thinking about that, which is like, Scott, like, what do you recommend that new fractional CMOs not do, or that they definitely should always be doing? Right? I know I tell them, like, people ask me, I know a lot, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fractional CMOs at this point, right? And I said, I don't really understand how life works or the universe or anything like that. I do know that for some reason, every single day, there's going to be something more interesting or urgent or attractive to do than prospect. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, once you start prospecting, your life gets so much richer with other distractions. You either have to develop the willpower, you're going to do it every day anyway, or you have to automate it somehow, right? I don't have advice on how to automate the prospecting, but it's just funny how that works. But what advice would you give someone who's just starting out? Don't do this. I tried this. Don't do this. People will tell you to do it. It's a waste of money, whatever.
One thing I would say to not do is don't think that what you did in your other roles and your other businesses is going to always work with the new company.
Right.
That's really important. So a lot of fractional CMOs have had success in other roles that they've done, and they've been in different companies, and they might come to a new situation and say, well, over there, I did XYZ, so I'm just going to implement that at this company. So don't assume that the same thing is going to work, because every single company is different, first of all. The second thing of what they should do is pay attention to the competitors and the competitive landscape of the business, and really do research before you start and understand what other folks are doing well or not well that are in your field, and really start to understand how you're going to beat them and get market share or get more clicks and things like that. So you have to really be open-minded on both sides of it. But also don't underestimate the people factor. So understand the CEO and his, the team that surrounds them, and understand what they want out of you, right? So that's also something that could be different in every situation. Is what are the expectations for your role, and how can you make everybody happy?
All right, fair enough. Kim, what would you ask Scott?
All right, Scott, here's a question for you. Give us a scenario, a story about what your most challenging yet exhilarating engagement as a CMO has been.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say challenging would be in the cannabis sector, which I've been in for a while. And, the challenge was budget a lot of the time, and also dealing with restrictions and regulations, which are really difficult in this space. So it's different in every state, and companies don't frequently have enough funding to really do what they want to do. But I have had certain situations where I'm also on the venture capital side, so we were able to bring in funding for certain things. And one of the companies that I work with had no idea about any of the stuff I was talking about. And they said, listen, as soon as we secure our funding, we're going to let you loose and do all sorts of things. And it was great because I taught them. They had a young person working there, and I'd said, listen, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to introduce you to this vendor and that vendor. And then things started, we started off with like $5K a month. And then a couple months later, it was 30 to 40,000 a month in spend. And they were like, this is working great. This is working better than any other marketing channel we had. And the data, and I convinced them to be patient. That's another thing, is don't expect results overnight. Give it a couple months and start to see, because things get better. The algorithms take over, and we try new things all the time. So it was very rewarding to see their shift. And, I became a really key resource for their company because, their sales went up and the marketing was just much more efficient.
Yeah, very cool. Love that.
And Scott, how about you? You have a question for Kim?
Yeah. So Kim, tell me something about your success, some of your successful endeavors, and what changes you made that worked really well. Like, you came into this situation, you evaluated it, and you said, this is going to change and that's going to change. And how did that work out?
Yeah, this is fun. I'll take an example actually from a blockchain development company that I had the privilege of acting as their director of marketing. And they were a small development company. And I went in, and they didn't really have a logo. It was just type, and it wasn't even stylized type. It was just a font. And so what we did was we rebranded. We gave them a tagline that was way more fun, that kind of gathered interest and intrigue and all that, so people would ask questions. And then we redid the website as the first thing, because they had nothing. They had a CRM and they had a brochure for a website. And then the CEO was a little bit leery about using WordPress for their website. And he wanted the people on the bench, the developers on the bench, to code the website. And I said, no way. No, it has to be in the purview of marketing. We got to be able to make changes whenever we want. No. So he acquiesced, and we ended up putting together a site. Within the first 4 months of that engagement, we had a new site. I brought in an SEO consultant, and we looked not at, we looked at SEO, but what I did was I looked at, where is it going? Where is blockchain development headed? And we ended up getting the #1 ranking in the first 30 days for cross-chain development, which was where things were going, but nobody had gotten there yet. And it was so fun, because we actually had the other side of the page, where they give you the summary and stuff like that of you on that search result. So that was super fun. We generated, I think, 9 sales qualified leads in the first 4.5 months. And I mean, those are opportunities. They were inbound, and the CEO had never seen a lead come through their website ever. So he was like blown away. And so those are things that happen, and that happened literally in the first 120 days. And it was super fun to see that all come together with the integration of the technology with their CRM and their email marketing and marketing automation software and all of that stuff all in place, was just a really fun exercise to go from scratch to operational in that way. So that was a lot of fun.
All right. So Kim, as we wind down, who should be contacting you these days, and how do you want them to reach you?
I would say who the perfect fit customer for me is B2B tech, SaaS, or AI companies that are growing, that want to really accelerate their growth. Maybe they're having some growth, but they're not really satisfied with it, and they want to reach that, sustainable hyper growth excellence of their marketing. Those people should contact me. It is a gas to put those things in place and to achieve those outcomes.
All right. And you want them to reach you through your website?
Yep, they can just come out to kimalbee.com. There's a way that you can schedule a meeting with me out there. There's also more information. Yeah, totally.
Cool. And Scott, how about you? Who should be contacting you these days, and how?
I would say focus heavily on the healthcare sector and cannabis and some tech companies. The best way to reach me is LinkedIn. Just hop on there and send me a message. I'll respond pretty quickly. And I usually work with companies that are anywhere from startups to 5-10 million in sales. I don't really like huge companies. They usually have a lot of it covered. So mid-sized companies are the best. And please have some budget if you can, before you contact me, but we'll work around it.
Yeah, budget's helpful. All right. Well, then, thanks, Kim, so much for being here. And thank you, Scott. And thanks for everyone who's watching.
Thank you, Dean.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye.